4 people pronounced dead after a shooting near the Joppatown Plaza. What we know so far in this investigation. And an update in Maryland's juvenile crime crisis, why Baltimore's top prosecutor says the laws on the books are not working.
And we are looking at a much more comfortable start to the second half of your weekend. I'll let you know how long it lasts in a couple of minutes.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good Sunday morning to you, looking live over Towson as we hit 7 o'clock. Thanks for being with us here this August 27th on this Sunday. And how about them O's? Let's get to your forecast, meteorologist Amy Aronson. We got another game in store today.
Yeah, exactly. Yesterday, big win, of course. Today, this afternoon, it's going to feel fantastic for a little bit of baseball. We're starting off comfy this morning, much better than yesterday. It got hot yesterday afternoon. We made it into the 90s. Not going to be the case today. Upper 60s, low 70s to get things started. Actually expected to feel pretty comfortable at Camden Yards this afternoon for first pitch. Whatever you're doing today, weather cooperates. We've got a nice mix of sun and clouds. Clouds will be increasing this afternoon, but temperatures stay down in the 80s today. Plus, it's not going to be as humid, so we will spend this afternoon in the low to mid 80s. Rain chances are increasing, though, for the week ahead and for back to school actually as early as Monday now. I've got an updated look at our rain chances for early next week in just about 10 minutes. Taylor?
I had neighbors said they heard the gunshots, but it was really quick and it was over with.
Now this morning, 4 people pronounced dead. That includes an alleged shooter after a shooting in Harford County. This happened on Trimble Road in Joppa around 11:15 yesterday morning. The Harford County Sheriff's Office has not called it a domestic situation, but what led up to this, still not clear. Vincent Hill has more on the latest investigation.
I was advising number 1 male with a pistol heard 7 shots.
Just after 11:15 Saturday morning, the Harford County Sheriff's Office responding to an active shooter at an apartment complex on Trimble Road in Joppa.
Tall black male, possible white shirt, skinnier build, armed with a black handgun.
When deputies arrived, they found multiple deceased people in an upstairs apartment.
It's not usual around here. It's not something that normally happens.
Harford County Sheriff Jeff Gaylor not providing many details, but saying the shooting appears to have been targeted.
And it does not appear that the suspect made forced entry into that apartment. We believe that he was let into the apartment.
As far as what could have led up to it,
We do not have a motive.
in all, 4 people are dead, including the alleged shooter and a juvenile.
But we believe the suspect is among the deceased.
Jerry Henderson lives just feet away from where those shots rang out and is stunned such a young life was taken just 2 days before the first day of school.
It's saddening. It really is. I can't even really put it through my head yet.
Now, in West Baltimore, police are looking for a suspect in a deadly shooting that happened during a SWAT team response. Now, police say around 11 yesterday morning, police went to reports of a shooting at Ashburn Street. When they got there, they found a man with multiple gunshot wounds. Medics tried to save him, but he was pronounced dead. Police say another man was seen running away from that home and into a home a couple blocks away. The SWAT team was called in to cause that barricade situation, but police say they're still searching for the suspect. Fox 45 News continues to demand answers and solutions for the ongoing juvenile crime crisis. It's not only happening here in Baltimore City, but in counties across the state. In the last few months alone, carjackings and car thefts have been fueling the fire. In Baltimore City, according to the latest crime report this year, there have been 309 carjackings and a total of 6,526 auto thefts. That is up 214% from last year. Now, we've seen many of these examples of done just by juveniles. Take a look here. This is last few weeks back on August 2nd when police say 3 teenagers assaulted a woman and attempted to steal her car in Brooklyn. Later that night, 5 additional teenagers were arrested after leading police on a chase through Anne Arundel County in a stolen Kia.
Fox 45 News, winner of 16 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
As students in Baltimore City head back to school on Monday, there are some groups making sure that students attend class beyond the first day. We spoke with Dr. Michael Gary, whose group Concentric Educational Solutions works to combat absenteeism. He says his discussions with families show a lot of the same reasons for missing school are consistent.
One, there's still a lot of fear around COVID that exists out there. When we're talking to students and families, we see the barriers that they're experiencing. Food insecurity, transportation issues is one that we don't talk about enough. When you think about students who may have to travel 5 miles by public transportation and may be a barrier because of the length of time that it takes for them to get to school.
Dr. Gary says the best way to ensure students show up to class is getting parents involved in their education. He says a strong partnership between school and the parents can help with identifying warning signs that a child is struggling. It is the final weekend before most Maryland students head back to school. That's more than 360,000 students from Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Harford County, Howard County, Anne Arundel County. Everyone's starting class on Monday. And of course, your Fox 45 News team wants to see how you're going back to school. On the right, on the top there, we've got Shannon Lilly. On the left, we've got one of our morning news directors. That's Olivia. Oh my gosh, that is not Olivia. Oh my, Olivia Nadeau. And then on the bottom, our morning producer, Carla Gutierrez, and bottom left, Patrice Sanders. Wow, look at that. Well, we want to see your first day of school tomorrow. Make sure you send your pictures and videos to us. We want to see how your kids are getting ready for back to school, what they're wearing for their first day. You can scan that QR code on your screen. You can also head to the Fox 45 News app, click the Chime In tab, or head to foxbaltimore.com/chime-in. And we're going to be outside all morning long. Fox 45 News, our morning team is dispatching an entire team before the bell rings on that first day. Shannon Lilly is going to be live addressing the big concerns in Baltimore City. Olivia Dance will be live outside of Baltimore County schools as kids start arriving there. I'm going to head over to Harford County with the fun and pep rally that's starting for the first day of school. And Justin Chambers, he's going to have that all-important bus stop forecast.
Do you still have your state-issued cell phone set to delete text messages at 30 days?
The future of Maryland's education leader remains in the balance. What the governor says when asked if he wants our state superintendent to stay on the job. The longtime host of The Price is Right, Bob Barker, died. Still ahead, we look back at his remarkable career. Stick with us here on Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. Governor Wes Moore is now weighing in as the state superintendent of schools fights for his job. The state school board once again delayed voting on whether or not to offer Mohammed Chaudhry a new contract amid concerns about his leadership. The latest controversy, a Project Baltimore investigation into deleted text messages and a secondary email account that Chaudhry was using to conduct official business.
Do you still have your cell phone set, your state issue cell phone set, to delete your text messages after 30 days?
Mohammed Chaudhry's future as superintendent is still uncertain after this week's school board meeting, where Project Baltimore questioned him about 98 text messages that were deleted from his state-issued cell phone during January and March of this year. That time period is when the Maryland State Department of Education began redacting test scores for low-performing schools, making less information available to parents and taxpayers. The school board told us the superintendent's state-issued phone was set to automatically delete text messages after 30 days. But 12 of the text messages were not yet 30 days old when we filed a public records request to get them.
We've responded to this in our written response. I don't have any comment on this, but if there's a policy change that the board wants to include, I'm willing to.
Do you still have your state-issued cell phone set to delete text messages at 30 days?
I have my state-issued phone set at where it's at when I was given.
Now, with controversy looming and time running out, Chaudhry must convince the state school board to renew his contract. Among the 14 voting members, 5 were appointed by Governor Wes Moore. But during a recent interview with political commentator Armstrong Williams, Governor Moore said he has little control over that decision.
The governor doesn't appoint, which is part of the problem. The governor doesn't appoint the school superintendent, nor does the school superintendent report to the governor. That the school superintendent reports to 2 different boards, which are comprised of different members, even though only one of the boards has higher authority for the superintendent. So I can't even say that my predecessor appointed him, because he did not. This is an independent body. And part of my frustration is this idea that I believe in accountability. I need to know who is responsible. And when I ask a question, I'm not asking for 5 people to give me an answer. Who is the person that I need to get that answer from?
If you had to make the decision, if it were your decision alone, though it's not, to renew his contract, would you?
Well, it's to your point, it's not my decision.
But if it were your decision, I'm asking a different question. If it were your decision, would you renew his contract? You just said accountability, transparency is critical.
And these results are not where they need to be, and no one can argue that they are. And I would argue no one can argue to include the superintendent. What I also know is this, though, that this is not about personality.
No.
This is about performance. The performance should speak for itself.
But Chaudhry appears to be addressing strained relations with state leaders in Annapolis. The Washington Post obtained a copy of this 9-page apology letter that Chaudhry sent to lawmakers on June 30th, acknowledging missteps and frustrations. But whether it will be enough to secure his job remains to be seen. Board policy says contract negotiations must be complete by the end of September.
Now, as we wait to see what the state school board decides, Project Baltimore still has lots of unanswered questions. We asked why were 12 text messages deleted from the superintendent's state-issued phone after our public records request was filed on April 10th? And is the state superintendent still using his secondary email account to conduct state business? If you want to see more of that interview with Governor Wes Moore, including what he said about his own relationship with the superintendent, we've posted the extended clip on FOX45.com. All right, let's get on over to meteorologist Amy Aronson. There is a lot going on today. The fair, the Orioles are playing once again. Are we going to look good outside for it?
Yeah, I think even better today. Yesterday got really toasty. It was hot. It was humid. Today we're taking a break from that. We are starting off with some sunshine, but you can see some clouds also pushing into our area. Clouds will be trying to take over today, but temperature-wise, we're in awesome shape. Low 70s to begin. Feels kind of refreshing as you step out first thing this morning. Mid-80s is where we're headed today. A nice comfy end to the weekend. I am tracking our next round of showers as early as tomorrow now for back to school, and we are looking forward to below average temperatures actually every single day this week too. Latest weather maker is situated off to our south. That's continuing to be the focus for some showers and some storms. What's going to happen is that's going to try to push back to the north here. And as that happens, it's going to send some showers our direction. And Future Scan shows that. Shows some clouds hanging out overhead today, along with a couple of stray showers this evening only. Not a big deal. But come Monday, although we start off dry for the bus stop at 7, 8 a.m., you'll notice this batch of showers develops and pushes in now by lunchtime, by recess time. So what a bummer. But first day of school, we could see some indoor recesses around Baltimore because of the showers moving through. They don't last long. Looks like they should push out of here around 5 o'clock, but that weather maker is still pushing through, sends us another chance for some scattered showers and then even some storms again Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening. You don't need to worry about the rain today, though, at Camden Yards. We'll start off with a mix of clouds and sun, mid-80s for first pitch. Temperatures will stay in the mid-80s throughout the game, and I think we will be turning mostly cloudy, too, which just adds to the comfort level. For back to school on Monday now, maybe send the kids with a rain jacket if they are going to be outside during the afternoon at all. Temperatures will start off in the refreshing upper 60s for heading out to the bus stop in the morning, and then make a run for the mid-70s to near 80 during the afternoon. And yes, we do have that chance for some scattered showers from lunchtime through bus stop pickup time, too. Temperatures will actually stay down below average every single day this week, at or below average. We should be in the mid-80s. We're talking low 80s Monday and Tuesday, mid-80s by Wednesday. Thursday, we're back briefly in the mid-70s. Temperatures are running below average every single day here in our 7-day forecast. We do have that one rain chance coming up Monday and then again on Tuesday when we throw in that risk for some scattered storms. But after that, things look pretty quiet for the second half of the week. Wednesday through Friday, we'll enjoy a mix of clouds and sun, mid-80s to mid-70s briefly. And then it looks like next weekend for Labor Day weekend, we're off to a dry start with highs in the mid-80s. Taylor?
Just ahead, more on the hesitation from some lawmakers on calling a special session on the juvenile crime crisis. And 60 years since Martin Luther King Jr. delivered a speech that reverberated around the world. How his legacy is being honored this week in Washington. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all All right, making headlines this morning, some sad news in the entertainment industry. Bob Barker, 30-year TV fixture and host of The Price is Right, passed away Saturday. Here's a look back at Barker's remarkable career.
When it comes to game show hosts, Bob Barker was one of the most beloved for 35 years. He was the man with the mic and the money on The Price is Right. Barker described his own winning television career as unexpected. He spent much of his childhood on a Native American reservation in South Dakota. His family, part of the Sioux tribe, serving in the military during World War II, brought Barker to new places.
I had never been up in an airplane, and I had never seen the ocean, and I had not thought about landing an airplane on a carrier.
After the war, Barker landed radio jobs and married his high school sweetheart before breaking into television.
It's time to play Truth or Consequences.
Barker's run on Truth or Consequences lasted 18 years.
That's beautiful.
His hosting style catching the attention of game show producer Mark Goodson.
He saw me working on Truth or Consequences, and he liked my work. And he told me that he would like to have me do the new Price is Right, they called it.
He said 2. It's 2. There he goes.
The mix of savvy shopper guessing games and big prizes have made The Price is Right America's longest running game show, and Barker its most memorable ringleader.
Being on that stage, reaching out and gathering those folks in and making this thing work, getting up, build them up as quickly as possible to a pitch that is just fun, fun, fun.
Off stage, Barker faced some battles. In 1981, he lost his wife of 36 years to lung cancer. He faced struggles of his own, including a stroke and sexual harassment case brought by a female employee of The Price is Right. It was eventually dismissed, but tarnished Barker's image for some time. Through it all, he remained focused on his work and philanthropic efforts, signing off each show with this tagline:
Help control the pet population. Have your pets spayed or neutered.
Barker, a major advocate for animal well-being, donated millions towards animal rescue and rights groups.
If I'm remembered at all in the years to come, they'll refer to me as that old man who was always talking about spay and neuter.
Barker spent his career giving away money, but reflected on his own good fortune in retirement.
I'm blessed. I had the opportunity to have fun and just look forward to going to work for half a century.
Bob Barker was 99 years old.
We're starting off your day under partly cloudy skies this morning. Meteorologist Amy Aronson will let us know when our next weather maker rolls in. And all-star closer Felix Bautista injured. He's not going to be playing tonight. Still ahead on Sports Unlimited, how much time he is expected to miss. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News. All
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good Sunday morning to you. Coming on to 7:30 on this Sunday, August 27th. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's go ahead and get right into your forecast. We're kind of cloudy out there, but meteorologist Amy Aronson let us know if we're going to see some more sun later today.
Yeah, already seeing a little bit of it right now, and I think we will see a mix of clouds and sun today before the clouds really take over. But at least it's comfortable. Nothing compared to yesterday. We are back in the upper 60s, low 70s to at least start off your morning. Plus, humidity levels are way down, at least for much of our region. 70s kind of the threshold for when humidity becomes noticeable. We're well below that, low 60s this morning, so it feels much more refreshing and manageable as you step out the door. Perfect morning to check out a farmer's market. If you're doing that, you'll enjoy a mix of clouds and sun and comfy temperatures too. So we start off in the mid 70s. We end the morning in the upper 70s, mid 80s. That's where we're actually headed today. Now, come tomorrow, I'm tracking our next weather maker, and that means, unfortunately, some showers for back to school for a lot of kiddos. I'll break down the timeline of the rain and let you know how you and your family can prepare for that in just about 10 minutes. Taylor?
Continuing coverage this morning, we're following renewed calls to address the juvenile crime crisis. Now, some lawmakers are asking Governor Wes Moore to hold a special session following a rise in car thefts across our region. Now, we're looking at some of the questions that lawmakers say they're hesitant to act. The latest push for lawmakers to call a special session on juvenile crime laws comes amid a staggering uptick in car thefts. This week in Northeast Baltimore, police arrested 3 teenagers for allegedly firing shots in the direction of police while driving away in a stolen car. Both teens, according to police, have previous auto theft charges. And in Baltimore County, an 11-year-old was arrested in connection to over a dozen carjackings. The preteen is too young to be charged under the juvenile restoration law.
What we're realizing when we talk to the young people is that young people, the juveniles, know there's nothing that we can do.
As juvenile crime rises, so do the number of state prosecutors voicing frustration with current laws. So what is the holdup for lawmakers?
I think they're dragging their feet for a couple reasons. First, I don't know if they have the magic solution yet to figure out the problem. You know, it's all well and good to say, let's have a special session and fix this. But I don't think anyone has one clear idea to fix the problem.
Certainly not one both sides can agree on. Fox 45 News sent several questions to Governor Wes Moore's office about the rise in juvenile crime. In response, the governor says he too sees the need for real measures of accountability. But we also asked why the governor thinks Maryland should wait for the General Assembly to return in January for those changes to be made.
The thing is, the governor needs to show a strong sense of urgency on this if he's thinking long-term about his political career. And the thing is, this is something that touches on a lot of people. The governor has been in the juvenile justice system. He could speak to this very well and very clearly.
Short of a special session, political analyst John Dede says lawmakers will convene in the coming weeks to talk about tackling the juvenile crime crisis.
Now, in September, they're having public hearings on this thing to discuss it. And that's kind of like a lollipop in a kid's mouth, which is all well and good. It placates people. But the public hearing thing needs to be plural. They need to have several of them, to have different voices from across the state to deal with this problem, especially in the city of Baltimore.
Dede, however, doesn't anticipate any changes to the state's juvenile justice laws until maybe next year during the 2024 session. Secretary Vincent Schiraldi sat down with Fox 45 News back in May. He says the department has its faults, but there are other factors contributing to the juvenile violence issue.
Yeah, so supervision all by itself by a government-funded probation officer or community supervisor, that's just this much of the problem. We really have to engage the rest of the people in their community. You got to get in there with those kids and interrupt that flow and put them on a path to success.
Governor Wes Moore has ordered a top-to-bottom review of the department, but those results have yet to be announced. Political commentator Armstrong Williams hosted a town hall to discuss juvenile justice. Panelists brought up their concerns with Maryland laws, especially the Juvenile Justice Reform Act. It prevents children 13 and younger from being charged with most crimes. The Child Interrogation Act prohibits police from questioning children.
You had a movement to say, hey, it's mass incarceration, so let's reform our criminal justice system. You call it criminal justice reform. And you create laws that create a magnet of crime. And that's what Kimberly was talking about. If you're not questioning children, the people who have evil intentions are going to use those children to hide behind and to get away with more crime.
Now, Armstrong Williams is also weighing in on the crime crisis on social media, posting this video calling out lawmakers.
Attention, Marylanders. The liberals are adding fuel to the chaos in your cities across the state. The Maryland State Legislature are architects of chaos and crime, and they deserve much of the blame for the rising crime rates, carjackings, thefts, and homicides. Here are the names of those responsible. Mr. Bill Ferguson, President of the Maryland Senate. Ms. Adrienne Jones, Speaker of the Maryland House. And Senator Jill Carter, the mastermind behind a disastrous bill that has infuriated citizens, prosecutors, state attorneys, and advocates, thrusting us into an era of carjackings, theft, rape, murder, smash and grabs, and drug dealing. Their laws have handcuffed prosecutors, police, and law enforcement, allowing criminals to run amok. Hold them accountable. Governor Wes Moore must now step up to the plate to protect the innocent from this criminal thuggery. He must work with state prosecutors, Ivan Bates, and others to change the senseless laws that this legislature has put in place. I'm Armstrong Williams.
In a city in crisis, police are investigating the death of a 32-year-old man who was shot multiple times in North Baltimore. Officers say this happened around 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday on Old York Road. Police responded to a well-being call. That man was taken to the hospital. They say he later died there. In West Baltimore, a woman was fatally stabbed yesterday morning. Police responded to Monroe Street for a report of a stabbing, and when they got there, they found an unresponsive 43-year-old woman. She was suffering a life-threatening stab wounds and pronounced dead there at the scene. They're asking anyone with information about this to give police a call or submit an anonymous tip. You can do so through Metro Crime Stoppers. The mayor on the Maui County Fire hiring a new head for the Maui Emergency Management Agency. The reason he is replacing his position.
And we are now 27 days away from the autumnal equinox, right around the corner. We're actually going to get a little taste of some cooler temperatures as we head into a brand new week. I'm also tracking some rain chances. I'll let you know what that means for back to school in a couple of minutes. It's 7:38. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News.
Now, making headlines this morning, starting in Hawaii, a new interim head for the Maui Agency of Emergency has now been selected. Maui's mayor made the announcement at the former administrator of the Hawaii Council Civil Defense Agency is going to take on this new role. This comes a little over a week after former head resigned for that role, citing health concerns. And it also came a day after he defended his decision to not turn Maui's emergency alert system on during the deadly wildfires. NASA's SpaceX crew is off to the International Space Station. 4 astronauts representing 4 different nations and space agencies across the globe are on the rocket, kicking off a mission expected to last more than 6 months. The rocket took off from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida around 3:30 Saturday. This is the second try at a launch for Crew 7 after Friday morning's attempt was scrubbed by mission managers.
It was a nice atmosphere, just being so close to it. We weren't 100% sure where we needed to come to get a great view, and we came here and there's 100 odd people just waiting around for it to happen. Everyone here for the same reason, and it's a great event.
The astronauts are expected to reach the space station later today, and they're going to swap out with the 4 astronauts who've been living there since March. Now, thousands converged in Washington to celebrate the 60th anniversary of one of U.S. history's most iconic moments, Dr. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. Chanting crowds marched along the National Mall in front of the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, where Dr. King gave his first speech in 1963. They made their way to his memorial site. Civil rights activists took the podium and urged demonstrators to continue fighting injustice, new and old.
Don't look at all the things that are wrong. Look back on where we were 66 years ago when we had the first March on Washington. And Martin Luther King said then, "Give us the ballot." And then he moved up and said, "But I have a dream." But he gave his life for that dream.
President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are going to observe the March anniversary tomorrow by meeting with organizers of the 1963 gathering. He's expected to meet with members of King's family. That first march marked a turning point in the civil rights movement in the U.S. Baltimore's Charm City Live Festival returning for the 2nd year after the break. A look at how that festival played out. And many Baltimoreans are now celebrating National Dog Day. Still ahead, the recap of the Maryland SPCA event held at the Rotunda. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local. story trending this morning. Charm City Live took over the streets of Baltimore downtown yesterday. Now, Ari Lennox headlined the events after the singer Her made an abrupt decision to cancel a number of her tour dates. That included her stop in Baltimore. There were so many activities going on yesterday, from local bites, live food, music, and entertainment. The Maryland SPCA celebrating National Dog Day at the Rotunda Saturday. The event included live music, food, vendors, drinks, pet games, of course, and a whole bunch more for dogs and dog lovers. Their furry friends out there got to make a lot of them. It was a good day at the Rotunda.
So we partnered with the Rotunda to really celebrate dogs. What a better way to do it than hosting an event. We have some amazing activities to do, like hot dog bobbing, paw painting, do-it-yourself dog toy. We will have dogs walking around that are available for adoptions. And this is such an important day that our cats have also come and want to be a part of the big day. So they'll be able to be adopted as well.
This was the first annual Dog Day hosted at the Rotunda. Members from the SPCA say they plan on making it an annual event. NASA is giving organizations the chance to apply for their very own moon tree. They're just like regular trees, but the seeds flew around space on the Artemis mission last year. Only organizations like schools, museums, science centers, and community groups can apply for these. But this is not the first time NASA's done this. A pilot on Apollo 14 brought hundreds of seeds with him on a trip to the moon back in 1971. They were planted as part of the U.S. bicentennial celebration in 1976. More than 3,000 movie houses are celebrating National Cinema Day today. Now, you can see movies like Barbie, Oppenheimer, Top Gun, Maverick, even oldies like American Graffiti and Spaceballs for only $4 a ticket. Most major cinema chains like AMC, Regal, and Cinemark are participating, and they may offer combo deals or discounts on refreshments as well. Last year's first ever event sold 8.1 million tickets on a single attendance day record. All right, let's get over to meteorologist Amy Aronson for a look at our Sunday forecast. I see the sun trying to peek through those clouds.
Yeah, a little bit of sun coming down this morning. We are starting off really pleasant, much more refreshing than it was yesterday. That heat, that humidity, we're taking a break from it. We're starting off in the 70s and even the upper 60s in some spots this morning, so it feels much more comfortable. And that's that drier air that has finally arrived behind this front that is situated to our south. That front continues to be the focus for scattered showers and even some storms, and eventually will be an issue for us again. So we're not going to forget about it. It's going to bounce back to the north, and that's going to trigger our rain chances over the next couple of days. But today, I think we stay rain-free. We will be seeing some extra cloud cover. We're in and out of the clouds this afternoon. High temperatures will still manage to warm into the mid-80s today. I think we could see a stray shower this evening right around sunset. Not a huge chance, but future scans showing that potential right around 8 o'clock tonight. For your Monday, we'll start off dry, so heading back out to the bus stop tomorrow morning feels great. We're in the upper 60s, low 70s to start, but then here comes some rain now, pushing in by 1 o'clock. So during lunchtime, recess time, we've got that potential for some showers rolling through. They'll linger through Monday evening. After that, we're dry again to start off your Tuesday morning, so heading back out to the bus stop Tuesday morning, you're in good shape with another mix of sun and clouds, but then we are tracking another round of storms by Tuesday afternoon. So as you plan out your Sunday, maybe you want to knock out some yard work. It's going to feel great for that. Pretty comfortable. Mid-70s to start things off this morning. Low 80s around lunchtime today. And to wrap up the day, a nice mix of sun and clouds with highs ending up in the mid-80s. Over the next couple of days, though, rain chances will be increasing. Starting tomorrow afternoon, I throw in that chance for some showers with highs in the low 80s. Tuesday, we could see some scattered showers, even the potential for some storms. Temperature-wise, though, we will be seeing temperatures still in the low 80s. Wednesday's the driest out of these 3 days. Mix of clouds and sun at that point, and a little warmer with highs in the mid-80s. Now let's head to the tropics. First, let's start off with Franklin, now a hurricane way out in the Atlantic. It will curve away from the United States, fortunately. Only impact will be some rough surf and some rip currents for the beaches of Maryland and Delaware over the next couple of days as that hurricane passes by. Then we've got Tropical Depression 10. I want to show you this because not only does it look like it'll have an impact on the southeast, the track gets it awfully close to Maryland, actually, and this would be by the very end of the week. Right now, I think all the moisture with that and the impacts from that will stay south of Maryland. but certainly something worth watching as we head through the end of the week. Looking ahead at our full 7-day forecast shows that chance for some showers if you are heading back to school tomorrow. Scattered showers, even some storms on Tuesday, but the second half of the week is completely dry and temperatures will be running at or below average. We've even got some 70-degree days thrown in there Thursday and Friday. And for the start of your Labor Day holiday weekend next weekend, we've got mid-80s with a mix of clouds and sun on Saturday. It's 7:50. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News.
We all saw him leaving the game last night. Early indications are that he has some degree of injury to the ulnar collateral ligament. It is less than 24 hours right now, and that's all I got.
Welcome into your morning sports report. I'm Rocco DeSangro. After exiting Friday night's game in the ninth with arm discomfort, the O's have placed all-star closer Felix Bautista on the 15-day IL with a right UCL injury. Whether Bautista misses 15 days or more, this is a huge blow to the O's bullpen and the team as a whole. Bautista has been one of the best, if not the best, closer in all of baseball. The 33 saves and 1.48 ERA are just proof of that. With Bautista set to miss time, the O's have called up top pitching prospect DL Hall. As of right now, general manager Mike Elias unsure of how long Bautista is expected to miss.
He's going on the IL. We don't have a plan beyond that. We have not firmed up any type of timetable or anything of those nature. So anyone can go on Google and find the spectrum of outcomes or possibilities that might entail, and I really am not informed or confident enough yet at this point to add to that if somebody's interested.
So without their all-star closer in the pen, the O's taking on the Rockies in Game 2 of that 3-game series. Kyle Bradish on the bump. Charlie Blackmon gets the scoring started with an RBI single. 1-0 Rockies. Colorado would get 2 off Bradish in the inning, but then he'd settle in. Strikes out the side in the 4th. Then with Felix Bautista looking on from the dugout, Bradish gets Brendan Rodgers swinging to end the top half of the 6th. That's got to feel good. The O's bringing the run support in the bottom half of the frame. 2 on for Ryan Mountcastle. How about a bases-clearing double to give the O's the lead? That was huge, and it fired up the crowd at Camden Yards. When they get going, it's hard for anybody to sit down there in the 7th. Anthony Santander with an RBI double of his own. That plates Jordan Westberg. DL Hall would pitch the 8th, getting out of a jam, and then Yenier Cano closed it out for the O's in the 9th as the Birds win their 3rd straight series, 5-4. Final score.
It was a tough day for everybody. This was a grind out game. We didn't swing the bat especially well early. Give Flex and credit. I thought he had a really good changeup there with 2 strikes. We kept getting out in front of it, but I thought Kyle Bradish was really good.
It's the last chance for guys on the roster bubble to prove why they belong. Tuesday, the Ravens roster will be cut down to 53, and every player that took the field in the preseason finale was well aware of that. No Lamar Jackson or established starters playing in this one. Josh Johnson getting the start at quarterback, fighting for that backup spot. Here he connects with Laquan Treadwell for the 24-yard score. That's big for both of those guys on that touchdown. Ensuing possession for the Bucs, they started their ones. Baker Mayfield to Chris Godwin. 11 yards on the score, field goals galore, back and forth from both teams. So let's go to the fourth. Undrafted rookie Owen Wright punches it in from 2 yards out. With 2:19 to go, Chase McLaughlin made it a 6-point game, so it's all up to Anthony Brown. Putting together a solid drive, Dante Demas, the former Terp, on the receiving end of this one. Great catch to set the Ravens up with great field position. But it all came down to this. 4th down, game on the line. Brown. You can't do that. Takes the sack. Ravens fall in the preseason finale 26-20. Shortly after, John Harbaugh named a starter at left guard.
John's going to be the starter. He's earned that. So you guys got your news flash there. But, I think I was pretty clear. I think John deserves it. He's had a great camp and vet and physical and just love the way he played. And then with Saleh, he's going to be just fine. He's going to contribute.
Navy and Notre Dame kicked off the college football season in style. How about across the pond in Dublin, Ireland? For the Irish, it marked the much-anticipated debut of quarterback Sam Hartman. For the Mids, Brian Newberry's very first game as head coach. Aviva Stadium, the site of this one. First quarter, Navy down a score, going for it on 4th down. It doesn't pay off. Ty Lavatai floats it downfield. 2 receivers in the area, neither able to come down with the catch. Notre Dame takes over on downs, ensuing possession for the Irish. Jadarian Price straight up the gut and into the end zone. 19 yards on the score, 14-0 Notre Dame. Second quarter, Sam Hartman, first touchdown at Notre Dame, dials up Jaden Greathouse for the 35-yard score. Hartman 19-23, 251 yards, 4 touchdowns in his debut as Navy drops its opener, 42-3. Final score. That's your morning sports report. I'm Rocco DeSangro. Have a great Sunday.
An 11-year-old allegedly involved in over a dozen carjackings. Why this case and one similar are prompting renewed calls for major changes to Maryland's juvenile justice laws. And a shooting in Harford County leaves 4 people dead, including the suspected shooter. Why detectives say this was a targeted attack.
And we are off to a really pleasant start this morning, but I am tracking a new weather maker tomorrow now. I've got an updated look at our rain chances from that in a couple of minutes.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
All right, good morning to you. Thank you for being with us here at Fox 45 as the sun comes up on this August 27th, the final day before so many students head back to school. Let's get right to your forecast. Meteorologist Amy Aronson with what we can expect for that O's game later tonight.
Yeah, actually, coming up this afternoon, it's going to feel fantastic for that. We've got temperatures in the mid-70s this morning. Already feels super comfortable. So whatever you're doing today, maybe heading out to Camden Yards this afternoon, Maryland State Fair happening again today, you're in good shape. We've got a mix of clouds and sun. Temperatures will be warming nicely into the low and mid-80s this afternoon, so it still feels nice and summery, but it's not as humid and not as unbearable as it was yesterday, so it's much more comfortable to be outside. Now, coming up in 10 minutes, we will look ahead to when our next weather maker moves in, and I'll let you know exactly what that means for back to school come tomorrow. Taylor?
All right, Fox 45 News is continuing to demand answers and solutions for the ongoing juvenile crime crisis across the state. In the last few months, carjackings and thefts have soared in Baltimore City. According to the latest crime report, so far this year, there have been 309 carjackings and a total of 6,526 auto thefts. That's up 214% from the previous year. Now, we've been following some of these latest acts of violence. Now, back on August 2nd, police say 3 teens assaulted a woman and attempted to carjack her in the Brooklyn area. Later that night, those 5 teenagers separate 5 teenagers were arrested after leading police on a chase in Anne Arundel County. They were in a stolen car, according to detectives. Now, last Thursday in Canton, a man was shot and killed while chasing after a group of suspects who stole his family member's car. Both of them were armed. Now, in this same neighborhood, 3 nights later, a shooting was also reported for an armed carjacking. Just this past Wednesday as well, 3 teen suspects arrested after allegedly shooting at police from a stolen car while driving to a nearby home in Northeast Baltimore. Those 2 suspects, both under 18, and police say they have previous auto charges. Now that crime is spreading into Baltimore County as well. Just this week, Fox 45 broke the story of an 11-year-old who's allegedly responsible for multiple car thefts. Police say the 11-year-old was a suspect in at least 17 burglaries, robberies, and related offenses. In one report, police say the child was seen driving a stolen Kia erratically. Eventually, he crashed into another car near Essex Elementary School. Police released him to his mother because he's simply too young to be charged. Political commentator Armstrong Williams hosted a town hall to discuss Maryland's juvenile justice laws, which prevent children 13 and younger from being charged with most crimes and being questioned by police.
You had a movement to say, hey, it's mass incarceration, so let's reform our criminal justice system. You call it criminal justice reform. And you create laws that create a magnet of crime. And that's what Kimberly was talking about. If you're not questioning children, the people who have evil intentions are going to use those children to hide behind and to get away with more crime.
And as we continue to follow the juvenile crime crisis, we are finding out more about why lawmakers say they are not ready to hold a special session. This morning, Giovanni Patterson with Peace is joining us live in studio. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Now, we've seen this case of the 11-year-old. It is an example of several cases with young people that we've seen. Why do you think there's hesitation to call a special session?
To be honest, I'm not sure why there's hesitation, but really, that's really the action that we should take from all levels of government. I mean, our city council hasn't called any resolution or done anything to say, hey, we need a special session. Our mayor really hasn't called for it. I think the governor, Wes Moore, has, started, making, that more known. But I want to say this, according to the Maryland State Constitution, that every man, in Article 19 of the Maryland State Constitution, that every man for any injury done to him or his person or property ought to have remedy by course of the law of the land, and ought to have justice and right, freely without sale, fully without any denial, and speedily without delay, according to the law of the land. And what's happening is the victims of these crimes aren't getting the real justice, especially when the remedy is to send the child back to their parents, and for them to then again commit more crimes like this.
Even the Mayor Brandon Scott, this week says there needs to be some sort of rebuild of the juvenile justice system. What do you think those kind of changes need to be in order for this to actually work, where juveniles are being held accountable, but they're not sitting inside of a jail cell bored, as a previous DJS report has shown?
Well, there has to be consequences for the actions, and what we're overall failing our youth and saying that there's no consequences to anything, right? I mean, look at our school system. We have kids that are being passed along without accomplishing the necessary requirements of their particular grades, and this is going on and spreading into the cultural and the criminal element, where there's no consequences to their actions. So there has to be consequences, and we can't be afraid to enforce those consequences. And then that's what we have is this, we're afraid now, for whatever reason, to hold our young people accountable.
And some prosecutors, on that note, have said their hands are tied, essentially, with some of the laws. Laws that seem on their face common sense to protect young people, but they're creating hiccups in trying to make sure young people are held accountable. Commit crimes. As lawmakers convene in September, as political analyst John Dede says, what do you think they should do in terms of addressing those laws?
Well, we have to realize that, we expect each other to be humane to one another. But when you codify a lot of things like that, it really does, place handcuffs on, the people that want to uphold, a functioning, society and functioning community. So I think we do need to, kind of repeal some of the things, but also hold one another accountable, right? It goes back to, I think real simple basic things like knowing your neighbors. I mean, nowadays it's very, frowned upon even to smile and talk to your neighbors. And we have to go back to a real sense of community in our own neighborhoods, holding each other accountable. If you see a kid, doing bad down the street, we have to be able to say something and tell those parents, even within our own neighborhoods. And that's not happening either.
But one has to think that direction comes from the top. So we'll have to keep our eyes on this and see how this evolves, because we've been reporting on the amount of juvenile crime, and it's been consistent.
Absolutely. I mean, we all want to see our city succeed.
And we want to see our young people do well as well. So thank you so much, Giovanni.
Thank you.
All right, 4 dead this morning, including a teenager after shooting at an apartment complex. After the break, more on this ongoing investigation in Harford County.
And gradual rain chances increasing and returning in our area. They become more scattered Monday into Tuesday. I'll break down what that means for your back to school forecast and your bus stop forecast early next week in a couple of minutes. It's 8:08. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News.
I had neighbors said they heard the gunshots, but it was really quick and it was over with.
Developing this morning, 4 people are dead, including an alleged shooter. This happened after a shooting in Harford County at an apartment complex on Trimble Road. It happened in Joppatown 11:15 Saturday morning, and the sheriff's office has not called this a domestic situation, but it's still not clear what led up to the shooting. Fox 45's Vincent Hill has the latest.
I was advising number 1 male with a pistol heard 7 shots.
Just after 11:15 Saturday morning, the Harford County Sheriff's Office responding to an active shooter at an apartment complex on Trimble Road in Joppa.
Tall black male, possible white shirt, skinnier build, armed with a black handgun.
When deputies arrived, they found multiple deceased people in an upstairs apartment.
It's not usual around here. It's not something that normally happens.
Harford County Sheriff Jeff Gaylor not providing many details, but saying the shooting appears to have been targeted.
And it does not appear that the suspect made forced entry into that apartment. We believe that he was led into the apartment.
As far as what could have led up to it,
we do not have a motive.
In all, 4 people are dead, including the alleged shooter and a juvenile.
We believe the suspect is among the deceased.
Jerry Henderson lives just feet away from where those shots rang out and is stunned such a young life was taken just 2 days before the first day of school.
It's saddening. It really is. I can't even really put it through my head yet.
We're also following a fatal shooting in West Baltimore that prompted a SWAT team response. This happened around 11 o'clock Saturday morning, where officers responded to reports of a shooting on Ashburn Street. Now, they got there and found a man with multiple gunshot wounds who was pronounced dead at the scene. Police say a man was seen fleeing the scene, going to another home a couple blocks away. The SWAT was called to the home, but police say they are still looking for the suspect.
Will Donald Trump's co-defendants turn on him? It could be key to the prosecution, but how likely is it? I'm Scott Thuman in Washington with a look at the case and how he's already cashing in on that mugshot.
3 people killed Saturday in what police are calling a racially motivated shooting. We have the latest from Jacksonville, Florida, just ahead. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. Making headlines this morning, looking live over Australia, where authorities say 3 U.S. Marines were killed in an aircraft crash on Melville Island. This happened during a training exercise. 20 other people were injured, and recovery efforts are ongoing. Officials are still waiting for the cause of the crash. This is going to be a developing story with us. Stick with Fox 45 for the latest. And meanwhile, officials in Jacksonville, Florida, are investigating after 3 people were killed Saturday in what police are calling a racially motivated shooting. They say the suspect, a white male outfitted with tactical gear and an AR-style rifle and a handgun, shot and killed 3 black people at a Dollar General before turning the gun on himself. It happened near Edward Waters University, a historically black college. While there is still a lot unclear in this investigation, the suspect had written several manifestos before carrying out the attack, according to investigators.
Portions of these manifestos detail the shooter's disgusting ideology of hate. Plainly put, this shooting was racially motivated and he hated black people.
You see the swastikas on the gun. We must do everything that we can. We must do everything that we can to dissuade this type of hate.
Police are stressing that there's no evidence the shooter was part of a larger group. In his manifesto, the suspect highlighted another shooting in Jacksonville that happened 5 years ago to the day. And in Boston, another shooting Saturday morning that left 8 people injured. Police say they've recovered several firearms, arrested 2 suspects. Investigators briefly shut down Boston's annual Caribbean Day Festival to gather evidence there, but they say the incident was not related to the festivities. Instead, they believe it was a dispute between 2 different groups.
Officers were just yards away, and so it was exactly as planned to be right there on scene, on hand, and they were immediately able to take those weapons off the street and even get folks into custody.
The city's mayor went on to note the cultural importance behind the festival and urged people not to blame the violence on the Caribbean community. The mug shot that got the world's attention and could have a massive impact on the race for the White House. Former President Donald Trump turned himself in for arrest on Thursday, but on Friday morning, he was cashing in on it. These charges, though, are a bit more complicated than his other indictments. Sinclair chief political correspondent Scott Thuman shows us how.
It is an image that in past political eras would have doomed a candidate. Yet Donald Trump actually fundraising off of it, putting his mugshot on everything from T-shirts to coffee mugs to beer koozies, and boldly proclaiming prosecutors made a mistake by charging him with racketeering crimes.
What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong.
In my book, Get Trump, I predicted all 4 of these indictments. What I did not predict is a RICO charge because it's so out of the ballpark.
While defense attorney Alan Dershowitz says proving the 19 defendants were all conspiring together is tough, he admits prosecutors have one distinct advantage.
You can always assume that somebody will turn on a defendant because remember, they have so much leverage. They can threaten years and years in prison.
But if they don't, he says, RICO charges get trickier. Yet the district attorney confident the evidence is there.
Acts of racketeering activity are crimes that are alleged to have been committed in furtherance of the criminal enterprise.
Probably the prosecutor's advantage in state court in Georgia is she does have experience with these cases. She's brought them, as you pointed out, against other individuals. This is still an unwieldy prosecution, and it's going to be a challenge in the courtroom.
Especially as prosecutors initially stated they plan to try all 19 defendants together. Congressman Ken Buck, also a former prosecutor.
You know, RICO has to do with organized crime. If this is a crime at all, I think it's a disorganized crime, and I don't think these folks are willing to testify against the former president of the United States.
And all of this could become more difficult if Trump, like his former chief of staff, requests that his case be moved to a potentially more friendly federal court. Attorneys telling me today that argument alone could go all the way to the Supreme Court. In Washington, I'm Scott Thuman.
All right, let's get over to talk about your weekend plans. Meteorologist Amy Aronson here to fill us in if they're going to be in store for a good sunny Sunday, Sunday.
Sunday, yeah. 2 days ahead, right? We are wrapping up the weekend now. Tons of sunshine making an appearance over the Inner Harbor. We're looking pretty for the second half of the weekend, and we're feeling fantastic too. Yesterday was kind of hot and uncomfortable. Today, that won't be the case. We're taking a break from the humidity. Highs end up in the mid-80s this afternoon, so about 10 degrees cooler than it was yesterday. Now, unfortunately, I am tracking a new weather maker now that's going to send us some showers for the start of a brand new week and for back to school come tomorrow, plus some below average temperatures that will actually take us through much of the first week of school for a lot of kids. We've got a weather maker situated to our south. That's that front you see stalled well across the southeast. Some showers, some storms developing along that. That's going to be an issue for us again. That's our next weather maker. That's what's going to return to the north and send us that next chance for some rain. Today, we're just in and out of the clouds. I think we could see a stray shower this evening, but not a huge deal. Most of the day is actually dry. Tomorrow morning, we're dry for the bus stop, but as we head through the afternoon, we get this little batch of showers rolling through. Some light rain right around lunchtime, right around midday. I think the heavier stuff stays south of here. That should wrap up during the evening, but then the actual area of low pressure pushes through Tuesday, and that's going to trigger some additional scattered showers and even some thunderstorms here rolling in Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening. But no rain to worry about today at Camden Yards. If you're headed out to the ballpark this afternoon, it's going to be a really nice day for some baseball. Pleasant conditions. At first pitch, we're at 84 degrees, and then we'll spend the game in the mid-80s with some increasing clouds by the end of it. Back to school tomorrow. Here's what you can plan on. Some upper 60s to start things off for the bus stop, mostly cloudy to begin. I think we could see some showers right around lunchtime, through recess time, and through pickup time, so be prepared for that with maybe a light rain jacket. It's going to be warm otherwise. Mid-70s through the afternoon, plus we're close to 80 by day's end. And temperatures will stay very manageable all week long, so we're taking a break from the heat, the humidity this week. Low 80s Monday and Tuesday, mid 80s on Wednesday, followed by another little cool down for the end of the week. We're back in the mid 70s again starting on Thursday. I did throw some rain chances in here. A stray shower possible later this evening. Otherwise, a better chance for some showers tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, and then some scattered showers and even some storms come Tuesday as that weather maker moves through. Behind it, though, we are dry for the rest of your 7-day forecast. We'll spend Wednesday in the mid-80s, little cooler and even more comfortable Thursday and Friday. We're back in the 70s there briefly. And then as we kick off the holiday weekend, Labor Day weekend already, unofficial end of summer. It's still going to feel kind of summery. We're in the mid-80s next Saturday with a mix of clouds and sun. Taylor?
Sounds good. It is the last weekend of summer. You heard it. Many students across Maryland heading back to school tomorrow. We'll let you know where we'll be for the first day of school. And Monday also marks the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech reverberated across the world. Now, in D.C., they're already celebrating. We'll show you how. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. Monday marks 60 years since Martin Luther King Jr. led the March on Washington and delivered his famous I Have a Dream speech. It created a landmark moment in civil rights. And this weekend, crowds in the thousands came from all over the country to take part in this milestone. Sam Ford from our affiliate in D.C. has the story.
60 years ago, over 200,000 people came to the Lincoln Memorial. They heard about Martin Luther King's dream, and within 2 years, both the civil rights and voting rights bills were law. 60 years later, the commemorative march nowhere near that size, but progress?
Blacks are in positions of power more now than at any time in the history of this nation.
Regress, yes, says Martin Luther King III.
Instead of moving forward, it feels as if we're moving backward.
Affirmative action outlawed in college admissions by the Supreme Court, which also overturned parts of the Voting Rights Act.
Yes, we have more young people who are not living in poverty, and we have people stripping their history out of schools.
It brought out many groups, Howard University students who would have been grandchildren of the Howard students of 60 years ago.
Because even though we didn't live through it, the effects of it have brought us to where we are now. We wouldn't be able to do what we can do. We wouldn't be able to have what we have.
Children and grands of old friends like the Jewish Anti-Defamation League, back again 60 years later.
We all sink and swim together. So ADL organized all around the country to bring our supporters here to commemorate and continue the battle for civil rights.
60 years later.
The march got underway, this time from the Lincoln Memorial to the National Memorial in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King several blocks away. Such a memorial would have been inconceivable in 1963, and yet the struggle continues.
City State Attorney Ivan Bates criticizing Maryland's juvenile justice laws. And he's not the only one. We sit down with the former FBI agent to discuss the ongoing calls for change.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning to you. 8:30 now here on this Sunday, August 27th. Thanks for joining us here at Fox 45 Morning News. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's get to your forecast. Meteorologist Amy Aronson, what are we looking forward to?
Yeah, more sunshine today. We are enjoying a very nice weekend. No showers, no storms to worry about. Pretty comfortable temperatures, too. So that's a big difference from yesterday. Yesterday was kind of hot and steamy and uncomfortable. Today, that's not going to be the case. Low to mid 70s to start things off. What's really making the difference? The dew points. I'm showing them because they're dropping. They're back in the 60s compared to the 70s. That's where they were at yesterday. Spots like Annapolis still holding on to that, but that drier air is taking over and making it feel much better. It's actually the perfect Sunday morning to head out to a farmer's market. If you're planning on doing that, you'll enjoy a mix of clouds and sun and some really comfortable temperatures too. Mid 70s to begin the morning. As the morning comes to an end, we're already close to 80 degrees. Now, unfortunately, tomorrow is not going to be quite this nice now because a new weather maker is moving in. I'll explain when that arrives and what that means for back to school for anyone heading back tomorrow in just about 10 minutes. Taylor?
There's nothing the law will allow us to do to hold them accountable, and they're doing whatever they want. If you have 11 or 12 contacts with the criminal justice system for the same exact offense, you're competent enough to steal a car, but you're not competent enough to understand who the judge is, who the prosecutor is, or who your defense attorney is. We got to get real and realize we have to hold young people accountable.
City State Attorney Ivan Bates is raising questions about Maryland's juvenile justice laws, and he is not the only one. FOX45's Maxine Stryker has more on why several top prosecutors across the state of Maryland are calling for change, saying the system just isn't working.
As juvenile spikes across Maryland.
So what we're realizing when we talk to the young people is that young people, the juveniles, know there's nothing that we can do.
Police and prosecutors are often left with their hands tied. Just this week, a FOX45 News exclusive report found police arrested an 11-year-old in connection with more than a dozen car thefts across our region. But he's not facing any charges due to his age, as the Juvenile Justice Reform Act prohibits children under 13 from being charged with most crimes. We sent the following questions to every state's attorney in Maryland, asking, what is your initial reaction to the discovery of an 11-year-old allegedly stealing vehicles? Do you feel juvenile crime has decreased since the beginning of summer? Are you seeing the same repeat juvenile offenders committing car thefts and other crimes? And do you believe now is the time to call for a special session? In Harford County State's Attorney Robert Harvey responding, saying nothing surprises him anymore when it comes to criminal justice. He says earlier this week they had a case of a 16-year-old who allegedly stabbed his 17-year-old brother in the chest with a knife. He said due to the severity of the attack, our laws still allow this offender to be charged as an adult, but it was a close call, saying legislation introduced last session would have required that the offender's case be charged in juvenile court. He says, my concern with the juvenile system is that there are few, if any, consequences, and the offenders know it. Wycomico County State's Attorney Jamie Dykes tells FOX45 she was not surprised to hear about the 11-year-old, saying simply put, there is no meaningful consequence now available in Maryland's law for juveniles who commit non-violent offenses. Dykes says juvenile crime in Wycomico County on the Eastern Shore has increased, and she'll continue lobbying lawmakers to reform juvenile laws. She believes it's time for a special session, saying children's lives are at stake. If nothing is done, more children will die and more children will fall prey to the realities and consequences of bad legislation. Saying, I fear that lawmakers will not hold a special session because doing so could be perceived as an admission that they got it wrong. It's clear the situation in Baltimore County isn't isolated, as statewide leaders.
We're living in a time where, unfortunately, legislators, lawmakers, have decided that it's better to support the lawbreakers rather than those who are enforcing the law.
Are noticing a disturbing trend among juveniles and aren't keeping quiet about it any longer.
They know that, nothing's really going to happen to them if they keep their crime in a certain limit of types of crime.
All right, law enforcement expert Tyrone Powers continues our coverage on the ongoing juvenile crime crisis. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, some people have hypothesized that young people become easy targets for older criminals to carry out these crimes because they cannot be charged. Can you talk about the predicament this is putting officers in, where young people are essentially carrying out numerous carjackings throughout the Baltimore region?
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because it is multifaceted. The young people who are involved in these activities must have some consequences and repercussions for their actions, but the adults who are supposed to be supervising them, whether it's their parents or other people in the community or other intervention or interception agencies or entities, should also be involved in this particular process. I think that the people who sometimes use young people, grab them, get in the car with me, let's go do this, there are no consequences from from your actions need to face a severer penalty. So when we go forward and look at legislation to deal with juvenile justice, I think we need to broaden our view. I know it's a very emotional issue right now because there's so many carjackings, and to be quite frank with you, some of the carjackings are very brutal. Very brutal. People are not, it's just not a matter of a carjacking. People are getting hurt, which is why prosecutors now are thinking about charging more than carjacking, but armed robbery and grand theft auto and a number of charges to make sure the individuals who are adults who are leading young people or participating with juveniles in these actions go away for a very young time. And they too, not just the juveniles, they too understand there's severe consequences and repercussions for their act and for contributing to the delinquency of a juvenile.
This becomes a slippery slope because in many respects there are very few limited, if any, consequences for the young people who have committed these crimes, especially when you fall into the age of 11 years old. But at the same time, there are laws in place that are aimed at protecting them. How do you cross this bridge of holding people accountable and still protecting young people in the juvenile justice system?
Yeah, the juvenile justice system, like the criminal justice system, was designed and taken into consideration that juveniles are do not make the mature decisions that adults make. It doesn't mean that there won't be consequences at all. It was never designed to do that, which is why we have a juvenile justice system. I think what we usually do, Taylor, unfortunately, is go from one extreme to the other, to no consequences, to severe consequences, from no constitutional rights, because juveniles still should have some constitutional rights. The Supreme Court have said that. They can be able to speak to authorities, but they should be able to have constitutional rights and have the right not to. So there's a medium ground and a compromise. Unfortunately, because of the dangerous situations we are involved in now, with the carjackings and the brutality of the carjackings, we go to one extreme or the other. The answer is going to be not only with legislation, but with the community themselves engaging, walking to the door when your neighbors are out there getting in their car in the morning, turning on lights. Maybe security companies now getting involved too in supplying door cams to more people in the community who cannot afford it. So it'll be force multipliers, it'll be legislation, it'll be intervention, redirection, and think logically about this, not just emotional and no political posturing, who's tougher on crime or who's tougher on juveniles. The objective should be to change the system, consequences with some considerations, and at the same time, mainly dramatically reducing the crime.
I want to go back to your point about how dangerous this can be. We've seen it result in shootings. We've seen it result in deadly shootings here in Canton just last Thursday, where young people or anyone really is trying to take someone's car. 300%, over 300% is what we're seeing for carjackings compared to last year. As law enforcement tries to get ahead of this, what do you think they should be doing in terms of using force multipliers?
Yeah, the law enforcement won't be able to do it alone. I mean, there's a lot of other crime going on in the city, too, as well as with carjackings. Unfortunately, these carjackings are more than carjackings. I just want to emphasize that. They are armed robberies. They are brutality. They're beating people. They're grand theft auto. They're assault and battery. So there's a whole slew of things embedded in that carjacking situation, which indicates the kind of priority it should get. The force multipliers, and we've talked about this before, the other police agencies in the city, whether they're university police or other police, are going to have a police presence around the areas, because it is a deterrent when you see a police car. The brutal carjacking that took place where the 3 juveniles and the 18-year-old who shot at the police car this week occurred in an area near Morgan State University, where you could have expanded the patrol area of the Morgan State University Police and at least had a presence in the area. And again, the other force multiplier is the community. This is a perfect opportunity to engage police in the community by having citizens understand what's going on and move to their front door when their neighbors are leaving the house, turn on the lights at the front of their house, use their camera, step on the porch every now and then, look out for each other to again multiply the force of the police department. It's going to take a joint effort. It's going to take legislation. It's going to take intervention, but it's going to take some common sense and intellect and not just emotion as we dramatically reduce crime. My fear is, though, and we've talked about this too, as we move in towards the holiday seasons, more people will be out, more people heading towards their car, and more people need to pay attention and not be looking down at their cell phone when they're getting in and out of their car, and to get in and out of their car with some alacrity so that they don't become opportunistic victims.
I'll leave it right there. Dr. Tyrone Powers, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, well, good news here. The Orioles are looking for a series win in their final game against the Rockies today. Rocco DeSangro has a recap of yesterday's game just ahead on Sports Unlimited.
And although it still feels like summer right now for the final weekend of August, 27 days until we officially kick off the autumnal equinox, temperatures will be trending cooler this week, but I've also got some rain chances coming up. I'll explain what that means for back to school for anyone heading back this week in just a couple of minutes. It's 8:40. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News.
All right, in less than 24 hours, students will be headed back to the classroom across our region. More than 360,000 children from Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Harford, Howard County, and Arundel County all starting class on Monday. Make sure you're here with us at Fox 45. Our team coverage starts before that bell rings on the first day. Fox 45 News' Shannon Lilly is going to be live addressing the concerns at Baltimore City schools, while Olivia Dance is going to be outside of Baltimore County schools as kids start arriving for their first day. I'm going to head over to Harford County with a pep rally and a lot of fun happening there to kick off the start of the school year. Meantime, meteorologist Justin Chambers has your all-important bus stop forecast. All right, here's a look at today's steals and deals.
The following segment is sponsored by Knocking.
It is so hard to keep the floors clean, and the last thing I want to do when I get home is scrub my floors. This has made a big difference for me. It's the Hover Scrubber Deluxe. It's not like other mops. You know what? I'm just going to show you how it works. Power it on, and look at that. You've got two microfiber pads on the bottom. The pads push the dirt in the center, and then, you know, the microfiber grabs the dirt. So I'll show you how dirty these are right there. But the cool thing is you also get two more pads, so you can throw these in the wash and just keep it moving around your house. This is a rechargeable battery, so you don't have any cords. You recharge it and you take it around the house and you're good to go. I like this too because it's adjustable for the height, so you can adjust it for different heights. It's great for maybe your parents a little older and they maybe have back problems, or if you have a back problem, you don't have to bend over. You just adjust it for your height, push it around, and keep going. And it doesn't just push the dirt into all the little cracks and crevices. It really pushes it into the center and picks it up. So you know how the bathroom and the kitchen can just be a little bit icky? This takes care of that. Right now, we are offering 32% off on the Hover Scrubber Deluxe. Just head over to asadeals.com for this exclusive offer.
All right, so first pitch, 1:25. 1:35, actually. The kids get to run the bases. Meteorologist Amy Aronson, what is in store for us today as we go out to the O's field, Camden Yards, and see the O's probably win?
Hopefully win. Yeah, they're on a streak right now. And Justin Chambers is going to be out there actually throwing out his first pitch before the official first pitch. So you do want to get there a little early for that if you are headed to the game. We've got some sunshine breaking through the clouds now, and I think we are looking at a perfect day for some baseball. We have low 70s, mid 70s to start, just kind of depending on where you are. We're not dealing with humidity, so it feels fantastic out there this morning. Feels much more comfortable. We do have a front situated to our south. Coming in behind it, that drier airflow from the north. That's what's making it feel so good this morning. Showers and storms all stay suppressed to our south for now, but what's going to happen is that front's going to slowly push back to the north, and that's what's going to send some rain back our direction. For the rest of the day, we are in and out of the clouds. Highs make a run for the mid-80s. I think we could see a stray shower later this afternoon, this evening. Not enough to get in the way of that Orioles game today. Rain chances look pretty limited. Now, tomorrow, a little different. We start off mostly cloudy in the morning, low 70s to start. And then we do get some showers trying to push in here from the south as we head through the midday hours and through the afternoon. So be prepared for that heading home from school Monday evening if your kids are heading back for the first day. Some showers will linger through Tuesday morning now, and it looks like Tuesday's also unsettled with a chance for some scattered showers and even some storms. But today is the day. If you have yard work on your list of things to do, great day to get out in the yard, maybe do some gardening. We've got a mix of clouds and sun. Mid 70s to start, low 80s by lunchtime, mid 80s is where we're actually going to wrap up the day. After today, we are tracking some showers, first coming up tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, highs in the low 80s. Then some scattered showers, even some isolated storms on Tuesday. Temperature-wise, pretty similar. We'll spend the day in the low 80s. And then by Wednesday, much better. A mix of clouds and sun with highs in the mid-80s. Meanwhile, in the tropics, couple of systems I want to point out. First, say hello to Hurricane Franklin. That is way out in the Atlantic. Fortunately for us, this will curve away from the East Coast, so it won't have a direct impact on us, but it will cause some rough surf and some rip currents down at the beaches over the next couple of days. And then there's Tropical Depression 10 now that formed in the Caribbean. This one will take a path towards Florida in the southeast, actually, as a tropical storm. And actually, that cone of uncertainty, that area of concern, gets it awfully close to Maryland by the end of the week. Right now, that it looks like any impacts would stay south of here. That means the rain chances from that would stay south of here. And you can see in our 7-day forecast, we're not really tracking any rain by the end of the week, but of course we'll have to pay attention to that track as we get closer to it. I did throw in that chance for a stray shower later today. I think it's minimal. For back to school tomorrow, plan on some afternoon light rain and then some scattered showers, even a couple of storms Tuesday afternoon. After that, we are dry for the rest of the week. Temperature-wise, we're at or below average too, so kind of feeling a little more fall-like. Mid-70s on Thursday and then upper 70s by Friday. Taylor?
We all saw him leaving the game last night. Early indications are that he has some degree of injury to the ulnar collateral ligament. It is less than 24 hours right now, and that's all I got.
Welcome into your morning sports report. I'm Rocco DeSangro. After exiting Friday night's game in the ninth with arm discomfort, the O's have placed all-star closer Felix Bautista on the 15-day IL with a right UCL injury. Whether Bautista misses 15 days or more, this is a huge blow to the O's bullpen and the team as a whole. Bautista has been one of the best, if not the best, closer in all of baseball. The 33 saves and 1.48 ERA are just proof of that. With Bautista set to miss time, the O's have called up top pitching prospect DL Hall. As of right now, general manager Mike Elias unsure of how long Bautista is expected to miss.
He's going on the IL. We don't have a plan beyond that. We have not firmed up any type of timetable or anything of those nature. So anyone can go on Google and find the spectrum of outcomes or possibilities that might entail, and I really am not informed or confident enough yet at this point to add to that if somebody's interested.
So without their all-star closer in the pen, the O's taking on the Rockies in Game 2 of that 3-game series. Kyle Bradish on the bump. Charlie Blackmon gets the scoring started with an RBI single. 1-0 Rockies. Colorado would get 2 off Bradish in the inning, but then he'd settle in. Strikes out the side in the 4th. Then with Felix Bautista looking on from the dugout, Bradish gets Brendan Rodgers swinging to end the top half of the 6th. That's got to feel good. The O's bringing the run support in the bottom half of the frame. 2 on for Ryan Mountcastle. How about a bases-clearing double to give the O's the lead? That was huge, and it fired up the crowd at Camden Yards. When they get going, it's hard for anybody to sit down there in the 7th. Anthony Santander with an RBI double of his own. That plates Jordan Westberg. DL Hall would pitch the 8th, getting out of a jam, and then Yenier Cano closed it out for the O's in the 9th as the Birds win their 3rd straight series. 5-4, final score.
It was a tough day for everybody. This was a grind out game. We didn't swing the bat especially well early. Give Flex and credit. I thought he had a really good changeup there with 2 strikes. We kept getting out in front of it, but I thought Kyle Bradish was really good.
It's the last chance for guys on the roster bubble to prove why they belong. Tuesday, the Ravens roster will be cut down to 53, and every player that took the field in the preseason finale was well aware of that. No Lamar Jackson or established starters playing in this one. Josh Johnson getting the start at quarterback, fighting for that backup spot. Here he connects with Laquan Treadwell for the 24-yard score. That's big for both of those guys on that touchdown. Ensuing possession for the Bucs, they started their ones. Baker Mayfield to Chris Godwin. 11 yards on the score, field goals galore, back and forth from both teams. So let's go to the 4th. Undrafted rookie Owen Wright punches it in from 2 yards out. With 2:19 to go, Chase McLaughlin made it a 6-point game, so it's all up to Anthony Brown. Putting together a solid drive, Dante Demas, the former Terp, on the receiving end of this one. Great catch to set the Ravens up with great field position. But it all came down to this. 4th down, game on the line. Brown. You can't do that. Takes the sack. Ravens fall in the preseason finale 26-20. Shortly after, John Harbaugh named a starter at left guard.
John's going to be the starter. He's earned that. So you guys got your news flash there. But, I think I was pretty clear. I think John deserves it. He's had a great camp and vet and physical and just love the way he played. And then with Saleh, he's going to be just fine. He's going to contribute.
Navy and Notre Dame kicked off the college football season in style. How about across the pond in Dublin, Ireland? For the Irish, it marked the much-anticipated debut of quarterback Sam Hartman. For the Mids, Brian Newberry's very first game as head coach. Aviva Stadium, the site of this one. First quarter, Navy down a score, going for it on 4th down. It doesn't pay off. Ty Lavatai floats it downfield. 2 receivers in the area, neither able to come down with the catch. Notre Dame takes over on downs, ensuing possession for the Irish. Jadarian Price straight up the gut and into the end zone. 19 yards on the score, 14-0 Notre Dame. Second quarter, Sam Hartman first touchdown at Notre Dame dials up Jaden Greathouse for the 35-yard score. Hartman 19 of 23, 251 yards, 4 touchdowns in his debut as Navy drops its opener 42-3. Final score. That's your morning sports report. I'm Rocco DeSangro. Have a great Sunday.
We've got some beautiful weather in store for the O's game today. Meteorologist Amy Aronson will have your forecast and what you can expect for the first week of school just ahead.
.57 on this Sunday. A pretty day ahead of us, mid-80s. Yes, there's the stray shower chance, but it's not until this evening. We do have a chance for some afternoon showers tomorrow for back to school, so be prepared for that. Scattered showers and storms again Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening. But after that, we are in pretty good shape for the remainder of the first week of school for a lot of kids. Temperature-wise, it's appropriate as we say goodbye to August and hello to September.
I don't know if students are ready right now, but they better get ready.
The time is